No, 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 no.
Where I'm sitting? Excuse me. Thank you. Thank you so much. So I'll be sitting next to you. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this closing panel of this Forum 2000 conference, a special conference considering that this is the 20th Forum 2000 conference and we are observing 80th anniversary of Havel's birth. This is a time to contemplate what Havel stood for and the purpose Forum 2000 serves in the interest of democracy, respect for human rights, tolerance, and freedom. Our distinguished panelists, welcome to this closing panel. And my job now is to serve the purpose of introductions. Very briefly, I am Surendra Munshi, an Indian sociologist and a member of the program Council of Forum 2000. I am an admirer of Havel and a friend of Forum 2000. From our panel, do they really need any introduction? We have His Holiness the Dalai Lama, spiritual leader, Nobel Prize winner, member International Advisory Board Forum 2000, person who has struggled for the destiny of the Tibetan people and is a symbol of tolerance and mutual respect worldwide, a conscience of the modern troubled world. We have Professor Tomáš Halík, Professor of Philosophy at Charles University in Prague, pastor of the academic parish in Prague, president of the Czech Christian Academy and member of the Forum 2000 Program Council, a member of the European Academy of Science and Arts, recipients of many titles and awards, including the Templeton 2014. Last but not least, we have Sayyida Manal al Sharif, writer, blogger, women's rights activist from Saudi Arabia, recognized by Time magazine as one of the 100 most influential people in the world, recipient of the Václav Havel Prize for Creative Dissent. They all appreciate Havel and what he stood for. His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Professor Halík were his personal esteemed friends. Ladies and gentlemen, you will agree, we have put together a distinguished and a balanced panel for this discussion. I have, as the moderator, two tasks. One is to give brief overview of the conference so far, and the second is to moderate this panel discussion. To turn to my task one, to give a brief overview of the conference so far, It's not an enviable task in a conference with panelists from different parts of the world, Austria and Saudi Arabia to Tibet and the United States, and representing different spheres of life, 114 panelists. Participants about 2,000. Panels covering different themes and geographical areas from China and Cuba to Ukraine and Venezuela, altogether 37. Location in this beautiful place and also many other locations in Prague. And after the closing panel, still many activities on the schedule, noteworthy the program of the Festival of Democracy. There are different ways in which one can look at these panels, but to me, it appears that the following major themes, 6 of them, have attracted much attention. Not to claim even for once that other themes are not important. 1, crisis in democratic leadership. 2, fragile state of democratic institutions. 3, a new area of authoritarianism. 4, populism, caudillism, dynasty rule, extremism, and other challenges to democracy. The role of the West, directly a question, has the West failed? The legacy of Havel in relationship to Gandhi. If you consider these themes, you will notice crisis in democratic leadership and fragile state of democratic institutions refer to internal challenges to democracy. A new era of authoritarianism and populism and so on refer to external changes, and with the role of the West and the legacy of Havel, especially in relation to Gandhi, we raise the issue of agency, or if you like, the way forward. Full reports from different panels are yet to come, and it's not my intention to give you full reports because, like you, I'm also waiting to hear His Holiness Dalai Lama and other panelists. But just to give an overview, crisis in democratic leadership, several panels have addressed to this issue. Havel had an abiding concern for the freedom, irresponsible freedom enjoyed by those without good intention. This freedom and its consequences have been clear to us in different parts of the world. The crisis of democratic leadership has to be seen in the context of challenges of globalization. The more globalized, the more atomized, as Iveta Radichova emphasized, and as Edward Lukács argued, it is a fallacy to think that the collapse of socialism means that the Western system is perfect. We need to nurture democracy, and in the opinion of several panelists, with resolution and responsibility. It will be a mistake to confine our attention to political leadership, for leadership in other domains, such as civil society, is important. Talking of Havel brings into focus the role of intellectuals. He saw them as persons who should disturb, provoke, rebel against manipulations. What is their role? In the panel devoted to intellectuals emerged that the responsibility of the intellectuals is to uphold human dignity, more so in a situation of crisis in political leadership, with compassion for justice and democratic passion. And this brings me to the second theme, fragile state of democratic institution. Democracy is ruled by the people, but not mob rule. It operates within the framework of law and institutions which provide constitutional procedures and checks and balances. Have democratic institutions been, to put it bluntly, hijacked for non-democratic purposes? Havel was clear that a democratic state does not exist as protection against external threats only, but as protection against internal threats, protecting society from itself. In the panel devoted to this theme, Arun Mairad observed that in thinking of strengthening democratic institutions, we need to strengthen not only vertical institutions, but horizontal institutions that enable, in heterogeneous societies like India and the United States, dialogue, the possibility of deeper listening. The need for deeper listening was felt at different levels, including the European Union, which, as Jerzy Buzek put it, must live up to its mission of avoiding war and creating a fresh vision with which the people, especially the younger generation, can identify. I come now to the third theme, a new era of authoritarianism. A disturbing trend in the present time is the manner in which the authoritarian form of government is entrenching itself in direct opposition to liberal democracies. We need to keep in mind Havel's judgment that totalitarianism is to be differentiated from old forms of dictatorship, for a qualitatively different situation exists when, in his graphic language, when a prisoner is at the same time a prison guard. For the recent rise of authoritarian regimes, many arguments were put, namely, authoritarian regimes are able to give simple answers. Western's interests are deeply connected to these authoritarian states, and further, that we see democratic countries are often perceived as too inactive and sometimes actually as embedded in the culture of impunity. A unified approach by Western societies determined by defense of human dignity is the key to the future of democracy. They must cooperate, and societies suffering from authoritarian regimes if democracy is to survive. Populism and other threats to democracy. Several panels went into these challenges to democracy. Each of these constitutes an area of concern to which an entire conference can be devoted. We see these threats in different parts of the world and so on. At the heart of these threats lies irresponsibility. Of people in a position to make decisions for others. In the panel on populism and other threats in Latin America, it was clear that the rule of law was compromised by vested interests. History keeps repeating itself with every new leadership. Yet, there is hope for Latin America, and this hope can be found in the new generation. I come now to the role of the West. Has the West failed? Where is the West heading? Can it, with conviction, project the democratic ideal? With the recognition that Europe has to take into consideration, in the words of Havel, the demons that so fatally affected its history, and that Europe is faced with challenges, including weak social cohesion, the question remains whether Europe is heading towards disintegration. This question brings forth a counter question, whether Europe can afford to disintegrate or fail. Not if we believe Wolfgang Gerhard, who sees the success of the European project a sheer necessity. This is, as Andrzej Kiska noted in the opening ceremony, even though he said it is not all sunshine and rainbows in this part of the world, and irresponsible words of politicians are a matter of concern, he felt there was no reason for pessimism. It seemed unreal to imagine if anyone who will be not interested in seeing Europe as a place of peace. Legacy of Havel, especially in relation to Gandhi. On the occasion of the award of the Gandhi Peace Prize in 2003, Havel acknowledged that he was an admirer of Gandhi and that his life had influenced him in creating non-violent opposition to the totalitarian regime in his country. What Havel said in his time, if the main pillars of the system is living a lie, then it is not surprising that the fundamental threat to it is living the truth. This is true today. The panel on Havel and Gandhi drew from both of them to throw up ideas conveyed in the following expressions. I can only briefly mention. Revolution of values, an idea that Martin Luther King Jr. took from Gandhi, as Ramin Jahan Beglu reminded us. Moral universalism, taming of violence, a new kind of politics not directed towards winning the next election, but ensuring the future of the next generation. The power of small acts and the praxis of critique. In conclusion, you must have noticed I have rushed through it because I don't want to take more time than absolutely necessary. In conclusion, a personal comment. As I listened to the panelists and moved from one panel to the other, and I read the reports which were kindly sent to me, I felt there was a mood of both despair and hope, pessimism and optimism, powerlessness and power. I remembered Havel closed his powerful test, The Power of the Powerless, with these exhorting words: we need to live in the service of truth, the truthful life, and need to make attempt to make room for the genuine aims of life. Aren't these words, ladies and gentlemen, true, all true, perhaps more true today? Thank you. With this, I move to the task 2, the real pleasurable task for me and for all of us, to moderate this panel discussion, for which I'm really greatly privileged. I have spoken enough, for which I seek your pardon. Now let us turn to our panelists of the panel devoted to 20 years of Forum 2000, the world and its current challenges, and listen to their words of wisdom and direct action. For 20 years, Forum 2000 had addressed the most important challenges of our civilization faces and has provided an essential platform for open dialogue about them. Dilemmas of global coexistence, questions of the dignity and rights of every human being, principles of democracy and responsible governance have been among the most frequently discussed themes. For us today, what are the important questions are, how has the world changed during these 20 years? What are our challenges today? How can we deal with them? I propose, with your permission, to request first His Holiness the Dalai Lama to speak, and then Professor Halík, and then Manal in that sequence. And I request them to speak for about 8 minutes in the first statement so that we can have discussion and interaction. And with this, I would take the moderator's role and allow myself the privilege of sitting down.
I feel if you look as a more kasota, a narrow way, I think there are a lot of problems. I think this kind of problem, since we human species as a bigger group develop, I think this kind of problems always there. In modern time, because of technology, the time move very rapidly. So these problems, which is sometimes I think becoming more clearer. But basically, problem always there. And the future also. So long a human species remain on this planet, some kind of problem always there. But then, I usually do this. You see, when there's some problem which is confront, and then look from wider perspective, and not only short term but long term. Then I think there is a lot of positive things there. I think within the 20th century, I think early part of 20th century and the later part of 20th century, I think much positive development. And firstly, I think desire for peace, I think much increased. And then also you see concept, you see common interest is more important than individual nations' interest. So that's why European Union started. But then some problem always there. But basically, I think world becoming more, I think more mature. And then also technology in early part of 20th century, I think everybody is really worship technology, something almost like that. Now, many scientists begin to pay more attention about our inner value. And previously, some sort of hard scientists is very hard science, scientists. You see, they deny existence of mind or consciousness, just a brain. Now, later part of 20th century, now that also changing. So then, the medical sort of scientists, they are also now showing and saying that in order to achieve healthy body, healthy mind is very important. So these things, I think, the positive change out of our own difficulties and deeper experiences. So I believe basically human nature is more compassionate. That not only religious sort of viewpoint of religious side, but scientists, they say basic human nature is more compassionate. Obviously, we know the constant anger, constant fear, hatred, actually eating our immune system. Other hand, more compassionate mind, more calm mind, more inner peace. With inner peace, you see your physical condition also much better. Then the family life also much happier. Our society level also happier. So, I feel, I often used to telling, the one sort of the drawback is existing education system, so-called modern education, is very much oriented about external value, not enough to pay attention about our inner value. So the problem, when inner value comes, we usually rely on religious belief. And then today's world, I often telling, out of 7 billion, 1 billion non-believer. And frankly speaking, among the believer also some strange believers there. So their belief is just a lip service. And the real life carry no longer any moral principle. All religion carry moral principle on the basis of compassion, forgiveness, tolerance. When real life carry, not much pay attention. So therefore, economically also, huge gap rich and poor. And immense poverty. I think world, money, I think ultimately a few individuals, family or something, they own or like that. So, same planet, northern world, more prosperity and also more with surplus, and southern world, even starvation. So all this, we are lacking sense of oneness of humanity. So that is not necessarily relying on religious belief. Of course, all religious belief, you see, according to theistic, we all created by God, one God, Allah or God, like that. And the non-theistic religious belief also, you see, we are same species of human being, and not only human being, but also other sort of, I think, a lot of different kind of species. They all have the right to at least do less disturbances. So that's the basis to develop sense of concern, sense of love, sense of care. Not only a human being, but also entire sentient being. And with that, also you see a sense of take care about our planet. I think early part of 20th century, nobody say that one of our tasks is taking care about our planet. Nowadays, you see, many people now realize we also have the responsibility to take care about our planet. These are, I feel, so the positive development. And then I think I always admire the European spirit of European Union. Now, some British voter, you see, they want to leave. But okay, they are wish. But when you look in the future, I think not only European Union, I feel this kind of spirit, union, must develop in Africa, African Union, then Latin America, Latin American Union, then Asia. We belong to Asia. I think eventually, the Kasachuti, Binu Babaji, once he expressed some concept, some kind of Kasota, federation, ABC, A Afghanistan, B Burma, C Sri Lanka, then India, Pakistan. So some form of Kasota federation. I think his vision materialized. Then I think today that part of world, I think much more stable, including Afghanistan. So the future, you see, we have to think common interest. We are part of the humanity. So humanity happy. Humanity, Kasota, I think both way, materially, sufficient or physical comfort. Then pay more attention about our inner value, then that brings inner peace. Real world peace, not through weapon, but through declaration. Real peace must come through inner peace. So now, many scientists, many educationists, you see, have this same new view. Our existing education system is not adequate. So that's, I feel, there is sound basis of optimism. Pessimism, of course, something has happened, you demoralize, and here. Then overall human being is more negative. So no future, no hope for future. But human being, more positive. Nature is more positive, more compassionate. So there is real hope. Now, education, I think, have very, very important role. In order to become more compassionate to humanity, relying on only in religion, that's a limitation. And within religion, there are different religious traditions. So therefore, I usually call secular, according to Indian understanding, secular, not at all negative towards religion. Indian understanding, secular, is respect all religion and also non-believer. Wonderful. That way of approach is, I think, relevant. Can cover entire 7 billion human beings. So in the West, some people consider secular means a little bit disrespect to religion. But according to Indian understanding. So in any way, we are now using word universal value. So sometimes when we use secular, there are some sort of danger to create misunderstanding like that. So in any way, now I am 81-year-old person, whole my life, a lot of problem. But in spite of that, I always remain optimism. So we are sort of same human being. So why not? Why not remain more optimism. In order to, that not unrealistic, look more holistic. Then I think there are plenty of reasons to be optimism. Then I must say, when my previous visit here, participate, Forum 2000, and I think last, maybe without late President Kaza, but an early period, you see, he also there together. So I'm one of admirer of that person. Wonderful. Now his person's body no longer with us, but we who admire his sort of lifelong struggle about truth, about a human right, ultimately means truth. So therefore, I think his lifelong sort of today a struggle, promotion of truth, or stand firmly on truth. So his physical no longer, but we must carry his spirit. And I myself consider one of admirer of him. So I have moral responsibility to carry his wish, to materialize as much as possible. So here, people who admire him, I think we all have the common responsibility to fulfill his wish, his vision. That I want to share.
Thank you, Your Holiness. And with this, Professor Halík, may I?
His Holiness is a great performer. It is not so easy to speak after him. Ladies and gentlemen, His Holiness spoke about the hopes, and with optimism for the complementarity, I should little bit stress also the risks. Yes, the world over the last 20 years changed. I would like to emphasize 4 points. Rejection of globalization, new fragmentation of our world, crisis of confidence in democracy, and lack of common language of the West, a weak sense of culture identity of our Western secular culture. And last, a transformation of religion, misuse of religious rhetorics and feeling for political reasons. The most frequent word at our conferences was globalization. Typical for modern age was fragmentation, the emancipation of different areas of life, the emancipation of different sciences, the emergence of nation states and nationalism. The main feature of postmodern age is globalization, the most important social culture revolution of our time. It creates a framework within all areas of social life. The politics, culture, economics, and religion are transformed. I'm convinced that globalization was the main reason of the fall of communism, because the regimes based on state plan economy, censorship of ideas, monopoly of ideology cannot withstand the competition on the free market of goods and ideas. Globalization was a challenge for open societies. But globalization is ambivalent and represents both opportunities and risks. So it's necessary to avoid black-white interpretations. I remember our discussion with Václav Havel before the first conference Forum 2000. We wanted to put together the thinkers from all over the world to deepen the interpretation of globalization process. Globalization is nothing like a spontaneous nature event. The important part of this process is how people understand it, how people interpret it, and how they act, what attitude they adopt towards it. Will globalization be a clash of civilizations, or can a globalization process be transformed into culture communication? This question is even more urgent than 20 years ago. I'm afraid that we are today witnessing a dangerous reaction to the process of globalization in the form of revival of nationalism, cultural wars, or ethnical and religious intolerance. Recently, we have seen that fear of globalization is also active in the West, even in the countries that were pioneers of globalization as Great Britain and the United States. So the attempt to go to the past, to the isolationism, is Brexit, and the shocking success of an ugly populist Donald Trump. But also the growth of nationalism, chauvinism, and neo-fascism in France and Germany, and the success of populist politicians in the post-communist world. The fragmentization, this new fragmentization of our world, will certainly also linked to the development of social media. The older mass media connected people, created a net between people. Now the social media create bubbles in which people withdraw from the opinions of the others and are fixed in their prejudices. What is globalization for the West is imperialism for the rest, wrote Samuel Huntington. Fear of globalization is the main cause of current wave of fundamentalism, fanaticism, and also changes in current religious scene. Religion, especially Islam, became for certain circles mainly expression of identity of certain culture, an instrument of defense of its identity, and later a major force of counterattack. But the problem is not in Islam itself. The problem is the Arabic nationalism. The secular version of the Arabic nationalism has failed. The secular dictators and their attempts to secularize the society provoked the religious fundamentalism. There will be a very interesting debate about the secularity and secularism. We use this word in a little bit different sense than in India. And we should also distinguish between secularism and secularity. The Pope Benedict spoke about healthy laicity, not about the aggressive secularization. So I think that a secular culture was really born from the Judeo-Christian milieu. And sometimes perhaps His Holiness will not agree with me, but I think that the thinkers like Mahatma Gandhi or His Holiness itself are very influenced by the liberal Protestantism, maybe more than the original Buddhism. So there is a connection with this Christian tradition of secularization of the nature and secularization of politics. It was the great attempt of the biblical view of the world. So I think the new version of the Arabic nationalism is using the powerful religious symbols and emotions for political purposes. It is not true that the Muslim faithful have become fanatics, but the political fanatics began to use the force of religion. After the fall of the Second World, the Soviet Empire, the so-called Fourth and the Third World has redefined, must find another, their own identity. Islamic fundamentalism provides a common language for the former Third World and also for the Fourth World, the poor people, the migrants, and the confused young people within rich countries. I feel that the West does not have a common language today. We hear concerned about that the immigrants threaten our identity. But what is our identity? We demand the migrants respect and accept our values. But are we capable of answering the question, what are our values? And can the migrants really encounter them in a credible form? And where the migrants can meet our values so that they will find it compelling and attractive. The second word most frequent on our conferences was democracy. The recent development seriously undermined the confidence in democratic mechanism that works within the framework of the national state cannot be transferred mechanically to the supranational level. The existence of the free market and the capitalist economy are not so strongly linked to political freedom and democracy as was those. The Asian model emerged, in which authoritarian state seems to be more effective medium for capitalism, too proper than slow and bureaucratic democracy. The invisible hand of the market has not solved all the problems. The invisible hand of the corruption came after it. So perhaps there will be possibility to speak about more problems after. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, thank you very much. So with this, Manal, we are waiting to hear from you, your adventures.
Such an honor to be here with His Holiness. And I was in Nepal, and I went to one of the monasteries there. 20 years ago, that would be outrageous to a Muslim woman who's very conservative, who practiced her religion, to be open to listen to other religions. His Holiness in this morning panel, he mentioned something very interesting. He said, when I was in isolation in Tibet, I thought Buddhism is the right religion. Until I left and I went to India. And then I found out all these religions there. And we have to respect not only the religious people, but also the people who are the non-believers. That was very interesting. I always say, religion can be used to spread hate or love. We have His Holiness as an example. I understand the Islamophobia is going around the world, is going around Europe here, it's even touching the borders of Czech Republic, a very peaceful, very beautiful, very civilized nation. When I came here, I was very impressed when I saw the castle that's overlooking Prague. We have the same castles. So you've been through these waves that you being a monarchy before, you had noble families. We still have that in Saudi Arabia. It's all about that we, through history, we go through these iterations. Nothing stays the same. It's more of opening the dialogue with the other nations, with the other people who, from different beliefs or the non-believers. I think that what makes us human is the compassionate to another human being, not looking at them for their color or their religion or what their beliefs. I come from a country that's one of the largest exporters of oil in the world, also one of the largest exporters of fundamentalist Islam. And it's a huge problem there because it took us years to realize that, yes, we created this extremism and we created this hate against the other. It takes courage to take the responsibility for something hideous that you did. And finally, they acknowledged, and now they're trying to cover up, they're trying to fix these things. We're a very young nation, 60% of us under the age of 40. And it's very difficult for the older generations to change. I was really impressed to hear His Holiness talking how he's 81, and he keeps reading, and he keeps learning, and he keeps changing. I think all of us, we always think the young people are easier to change, easier to change their ideas. But there is no age, really. Right now, Saudi women are fighting to end something that was, religion was used to control people in my country. So the monarch used religion. We solved the world's problem with dollars, and we solve our Saudi or the nation problems with fatwas, or the religious statements. Saudi women yesterday finished 100-day this movement calling to end the male guardianship. And I'm very proud of these ladies. And they say, I am my own guardian. We've been taught that God assigned us a guardian. And it takes courage to question that. In a very religious country, where Raif Badawi is in jail for the crime of insulting Islam for 10 years and 1,000 lashes. Another friend of mine, Ala Birinji, is also in jail for tweets. He was questioning the religious establishment in Saudi Arabia. It does take courage to take responsibility for your mistakes. Also takes courage to take an action. And I think this is what we learned all here today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you have heard three very interesting opening statements from very different perspectives. And I was looking into my notes. One thing that strikes me, runs across these three presentations, among other things, is what His Holiness has talked in terms of creating a sense of oneness of humanity, which is needed. I would ask a question to the panel, starting with His Holiness, if I may. Can religion play this role? Can religion play the role of creating this oneness of humanity? Or can religion be disruptive as far as this oneness of humanity is concerned? You talked about religion, and of course, Professor Halík had a good deal to say about secularization and so on. So I think this is one theme that runs across. May I please, sir?
All major world religions carry, I usually make sort of three aspects, all major religion. One aspect, the real religion, that is love. All carry same message, same practice. So here, same. If we use the religious aspect, certainly can be very helpful for promotion of oneness of humanity, we must extend our love entire humanity. The second aspect of religion is philosophy, a different concept. Now here there are differences. Basically, theistic religion, non-theistic religion, and within non-theistic religion, I think you know, Jain and I said the ancient one Sankhya philosophy, one part Sankhya philosophy, and Jain and Buddhism, no concept of creator. Within non-theistic religion, there is differences of the belief Atma or Anatma. So in the philosophical fields, and in Muslim, only one Allah. Christianity, Trinity. So there are little differences, you see, there in the philosophical field. Then within Buddhism, you see, there are four major different schools of thought. Vivashik, Swatantik, Chittamantra, and Madhyamika. So in philosophical fields, there are a lot of differences. But then we must ask, what's the purpose of this different philosophy? Same. To promote conviction about value of compassion. The theistic religion, we all created by one God. That God, infinite love. So we all children of that kind of God. Really. And just one life, this very life, created by God. So that really brings some kind of closeness feeling with God. So more feeling of intimacy, there's more willingness to follow. So God's advice, that is compassion. So then non-theistic religion, almost self-creation. So all responsibility in your own shoulder. If you do good, you get benefit. If you do wrong, you have to face negative consequences. So that also is very good. Was a very good one way to promote conviction about the value of compassion or love. The third part, it seems to me, cultural aspect. Now there, you see, I feel some sort of cultural aspect, I think very much related with the, at that time's existing social system. So 2000 years, you see, ago, when these major religious traditions used to come, the society, more feudal society. So, and then also, I feel the Islam in Quran, some sort of details of mention about Sharia law, because at that time, the Saudi Arabia and this area, no proper civil law. So therefore, then religion itself now must take the full responsibility about law. So Sharia law come. And some of my sort of friends say about 2,600 years ago, when Mahavira, Jain master, Jain founder, at that time, immense animal sacrifice. So therefore, at such sort of period in the society, that kind of sort of practice there, the Jain master come, he particularly emphasizes about non-violence and vegetarianism. So the circumstances, the society, I think, affects this certain sort of, I usually consider culture of that particular religion. So therefore, some aspect of culture, and in India, there's a caste system. That also, I think, the feudal system, the ruler, try to find, support from religious belief. So that aspect, I think, time change. Now today, the democratic sort of, society. As you mentioned, there are some sort of difficulties, obstacles, and even democratic system also there is room of corruption. So these, however, the democratic system is best system ruled by people. I'm concerned. The country. After all, world belongs to 7 billion human beings. And each country belongs to the people of that country. Even religious leader, they can serve, they can help, not rule. So people, since the world belongs to the people, and each country belongs to the people, so finally people have the final say or authority. So the people elected the leader. So the leadership accountable to the public. So that's, I think, best. Even sort of impeachment, you can dismiss. So once you, with great hope, trust, elected, but something goes wrong, then impeachment. I think wonderful. So democratic system. No, I think people should have, concerned people should have better education and less emotion. I think then you can judge. Too much emotion, difficult to judge. So I think no matter how difficult it is, I think future of the world, democracy is our future.
Okay.
So, because so the part of religion all talks compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, self-discipline. So all have the great potential to promote this value. Then the second level, different philosophy, different concept, that we must understand a different area, different, including climate and different way of life. So different sort of the philosophy come. And then these, I think, same purpose, different philosophy, same purpose. So no need to change. Now cultural aspect, I feel, you see, according to the existing reality, sometimes we need some change, I feel.
Thank you. Thank you. Professor Halík, a very blunt question to you.
I will try.
No, I haven't asked the question yet. A very blunt question. Is religion part of the problem or part of the solution?
Both. All religions are...
I think, I may add, you see, in the name of religion, create more problem That's also reality, but they are not carry genuine religious concept.
Right.
So all religions, great religions, are schools learning people how to overcome their egoism, how to cultivate their instincts, and how to live with others in peace and justice. But also in all religions is etwas dangerous, because religions are powerful. The symbol of religions are very powerful, and they are misused by the politics, but it is not the politicization of the religion, is more the sacralization of the politics. Because when the feelings are so strong, the secular language is not able to express it. And also the secular politicians are reaching to the religious concept, religious rhetoric. They speak, the enemy is not just an enemy, but is great Satan. With great Satan, we cannot have a compromise. So there are differences, not only in our teachings. His Holiness taught to the Czech television that he don't believe in Creator, so he is in the perspective of Christians a sinner. So I would like to assure you that you are not sinner because of the cosmology. We are all sinners, the Bible says, but not because of our cosmology. So important is God is love, God is truth, and God is a mystery. So nobody should manipulate, has a monopoly for God. If God is mystery, I think the religion should teach us today to live with the paradoxes of life and with the mysteries. The physics, especially the new physics, can help us that to understand that the reality is very complicated. And we have our projections. Also, our concept of God are sometimes our projections. Also, the atheists have their concept of God in which they don't believe. So many atheists are denying their own concept of God. So the concept of God is not only things of believers, but also of the atheists. And I think they are differences, not only in our teachings, they are great differences. The Gordon Allport, the American psychologist, thought they are differences between the extrinsic and intrinsic religion. Intrinsic religion is the religion we believe because we believe in the truth of religion. The extrinsic is we use the religion as an instrument for something. Also, the master Eckhart, the Christian thinker who is the most near to Buddhism, he distinguished between the inner man. He said the inner man has an inner God, and outward man has an outward God. Who live in the superficial, in the surface of life, he has his image of God, which is mainly the picture of their own fears and expectations. So the Freud and Nietzsche and Feuerbach were right about this type of religion. But they are the inner men, the people. They don't live on the superficial level. They are the authentic people with responsibility, with depth. And those people are able to have the inner God. So the God who is not just the instrument for beating the others, but who inspire our responsibility. So the idea of the united mankind is the consequence of our belief in one Father. If we have the one Father, so we are all brothers and sisters. People say we have we believe in a different God than the Muslims now. No. If we believe in one God, it is the God of Christians, Jews, Muslims, even God of atheists, and God of mountains and stars. So nobody has a monopoly of God. And we speak about the return of religion. So it is not the return to the traditional religion. It is the transformation of religion now. The religion was suppressed, and everything what was suppressed is coming back in the different and sometimes very dangerous mode. We know it from psychoanalysis. What was suppressed, it's coming back, and it's different. Also, the religion which was suppressed by the secularism is coming back in the different mode, and this mode is sometimes dangerous. So, and we speak last idea. We thought that the solution of the relation between politics and religion is a separation of state and church. It was very good in the past, but now the national states have no monopoly for religion, for politics, and the churches has no monopoly for religion. So we should to think about the relation between politics and religion in a new way.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Professor. Thank you. Manal, you showed this to us, right? Right? Now tell me.
I want to ask him how to prove through reason existence of God.
God is a mystery. God is a mystery, and to believe is the courage to enter the cloud of the mystery, to live with a mystery, not to seek a certainty, not to seek the theory, to live in a mystery. And this is very important.
Good. That's good. Good.
Right, thank you. Thank you. Manal, I come back to you. You showed this to us. Now tell us, can religion in your society, especially for young people, help in regaining your guardianship?
There is
We are short on time, so
yes,
please.
I'll take 1 minute. There is a hadith by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, "Khiyarukum khiyarukum linisa'ihim," and that means the best of you are the best to their women. So that's the religion we read in books, but the interpretation is, as Dr. Thomas said, are used by politicians to control people. So the religion became a tool in the politicians' hands, and that when it becomes really dangerous. So it is part of the solution and part of the problem, as Dr. Thomas explained. There was a study done a few years ago, and it was published. I can't remember but it was a reputable institute that did the study about the Middle East, and they found most of the young people in the Middle East become atheists. But if you say that I'm an atheist, you get killed in the countries that have Sharia law or the Islamic law. So they become quiet when they are atheists. And it's, as you said, it's because you're repressed, you cannot ask questions, you're just told to follow certain rules, and people just revolt because as humans, we're free spirit. We don't want things to control us, to tell us that we're bad people, we're going to be in hellfire if you don't follow certain rules that we cannot question. That was very disturbing. Most of the scholars in Saudi Arabia totally refused it. It was, they said it's a conspiracy against Islam. That's the ego that makes them disbelief makes them don't want to think that they are part of the problem. By being extremist, by not having the courage to accept the other, to open the dialogue with the other, the courage to question these beliefs that we have thousands of years, the courage to question if we are the only nation that's right and everyone else is wrong. I think that goes back to the essence of just letting go of all the ego, and open this dialogue with the young people, with the world around us. If we can have a Dalai Lama in every religion, that would be amazing. Because every religion is being used, and because it's been used by politicians, people only know the hateful speech about it. I'm pretty sure you always think Arabs and Muslims are angry people running around and just want to bomb everyone. We're not like that. Usually the aggressive minority are very loud, and they look like majority, but they're not. We're 1.7 billion in this world. That's a lot. Do you know how many RSS? 4,000 soldiers. That's nothing. That's no one. So yes, in my society, or in the Middle East and the MENA region, it's a very young nation. It's one of the youngest nations in the world. Almost 50% of us are really young. And we're questioning. Seeing a woman, a Saudi woman, questioning this, that being told all her life that the road to heaven is through your husband or through your father, this is huge. So take the courage to ask questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Manal, you saw how we have received your response. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I turn to all of you now. You will please forgive me. Unfortunately, I don't have much time for questions, but still, I would let some questions, perhaps 2 or 3, because of restriction of time. I see already one hand. Kindly, if you be brief, and I meant you. Yeah, yes, please. I saw your hand. Please. Mike.
Thank you very kindly. Your Holiness, my name is Charles Ross, the European Anti-Corruption Center, and I'd like to thank you for taking the time once again to come to Prague to teach. As you and your old friend Václav Havel knew so well, it takes a little vision to see the needs of the future and to know the answers today. Indeed, in today's complicated times, people are searching for answers, particularly against corruption, injustice, human rights violations throughout the world. Many people are upset that so many people are demonstrating. And yet I consider this a great sign, a sign of great optimism. With history comes the understanding of responsibility. I like to consider the concept of quiet freedom, which includes democracy, of course, for each man and woman and child throughout the world in their own countries. I would appreciate your thought and your comments on this concept of quiet freedom. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Your Holiness, the concept of
silent water. I think it depends on circumstances. If circumstances as such, unless you public level, mainly public level, unless you express openly nobody pay much attention. Then you have to, you have to shout. Then if there is a real sort of smooth way, some also the changing, then no need to shout. And you see, you yourself, you see, work hard and bring, I think, such as because of the poor people, poorer section of people, I think instead of shouting, work hard. So one sort of also the method to reduce this gap, rich and poor. I usually used to telling people, the richer side should not look down the poorer section of people, must respect and give them self-confidence. In India, some sort of also the people from low caste, they mentally, emotionally, some kind of also the inferior. One time in South Africa, in Soweto, I have one opportunity to visit one family. And then we talk. Then I told them, now constitution level, now democracy, now how should they achieve? A constitution give equal. But now the African black people must use the opportunity.
Can you see him?
And with self-confidence. Then that person told me, oh, we cannot compete with white people because our brain is inferior. Then I really shocked. I argue with him. No. If you go to one brain specialist, any differences of brain due to color? No. 100% same. So you must have self-confidence. Then I explained something. Then finally, he, with long sigh, he told me, now he convinced we are equal. So the richer side must give, not just help, out of sort of some kind of pity. That's wrong. Respect and give them self-confidence. Then, meantime, the poorer section, they should have full sort of self-confidence, work hard. Instead of criticize, work hard, and then make equal.
Right.
So sometimes, you see, if the authority don't sort of pay much attention, then sometimes, or one time in New Delhi, on our meeting, so some area, the caste sort of these difficulties. So one Swami, he told me, you see, there are these problems. So then he want some kind of demonstration in Delhi. Then I told them, if you organize a demonstration for such purpose, then let me know, I will join with you. So some shout.
All right.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. My name is Pervis Sulgi Kasai. I'm from Norway, a member of the International Law Association, but an Iranian by origin, and a former ambassador who defected my embassy and joined the Iranian resistance. Your Holiness, you were in Oslo when I was also in the Grand Hotel and greeted you in front of the television and welcomed you when you got the Nobel Prize. My question is, given the fact that all the religions have been misused, all the philosophies have been misused, and now, unfortunately, is the turn of Islam which is misused. I'm not myself a Muslim, but I see that it is misused, but it has nothing to do with the religion. Is it possible that the world now help the progressive Muslims who stand on the face of this fundamentalism which is ruining our civilization and also the religion, and help the secular progressive Muslims and try to contain them. The fundamentalism is not started from Syria or from anywhere. It started from Iran. 1979, Khomeini made the Islamic State.
Excuse me, sir. Could you wrap it up?
Is it possible that you, Your Holiness, and the other pray and help people like Mrs. Maryam Rajavi, a woman who is also standing against the fundamentalism, being a Muslim, and try to contain and try to help that we also try to cleanse the face of this religion, which is unrightly misused by the
I must request you to conclude.
Thank you so much.
Yes, please. Your Holiness, would you like to answer?
I think this sad event not developed independently due to many other factors. I think firstly, after September 11 event, there's some even articles, you see, creates impression. There's some clash between Western civilization and Islam. Totally wrong. So then, so that kind of sorority impression then creates, and also I think Western sorority force use in order to remove Saddam Hussein. I think these are, totally wrong. So, more use force. Some people can kill, can eliminate, but they are hated continuously, carry their friend, their children, grandchildren, grandchildren. So violence can control physical, but not emotion. So the emotion only change through understanding, make friendship. So the dialogue is the only way. So I really, actually, soon after Iraq crisis happened, before Iraq crisis, some people wrote me, asked me, I should go Baghdad and do something. That is unrealistic. I have no connection with Iraq. Then soon after that, I mentioned the President Havel. Now, you see, some Nobel laureate, and also like him, respected, well-known, was a retired leader, and some scientist. You see, should create some kind of form whenever some problem about to happen. Go to that place and talk. The government, even United Nations representative, I think difficult to bring trust from other side. So just one individual, good human being, warm-hearted person, sensible person, go there and talk. For example, Saddam Hussein. I think we can avoid that war, I feel. So I told him. Then he fully agreed. Then, for the time being, 2000 forum, you see, will carry that sort of the idea and that sort of work. And soon he passed away. So I think many sort of problems which we are facing today, I think can avoid if we emphasize or dialogue and you see they meet, reach out. Now the so-called terrorist. Now these days, I am telling, the very wording, Muslim terrorist, Buddhist terrorist, that wording is wrong. Anyone who indulges terrorism, no longer Muslim, no longer Buddhist. So Muslim, genuine Muslim. As soon as create bloodshed, no longer genuine Muslim. So terrorist to terrorist should not sort of say Kasota, Muslim terrorist or Buddhist terrorist. So for example, you see, when some sort of sad event in Burma, the Time magazine is one cover page. Is one picture of one Buddhist monk named this guy, Buddhist terrorist. And I felt, I am Buddhist, little uncomfortable. So similarly, if you say Muslim terrorist, the millions of Muslims feel something uncomfortable. In order to respect Islam, we should not use that kind of word. Terrorist, terrorist. So Muslim, see they say, I mean, some of my Muslim friends, they say, oh, genuine Muslim must extend our love, compassion towards the entire creature of Allah. Wonderful. So now here I want to sort of share one of my sort of practice in order to promote religious harmony. Number one, meeting with genuine practitioner from different tradition and exchange their deeper experience out of their own sort of religious practice. I met late Thomas Merton. Wonderful. And then some other sort of genuine Christian practitioner. Wonderful. I think now time. You say I want to share. There's one occasion in Spain, Barcelona. I met one Catholic monk. The person who arranged our meeting, they told me that Catholic monk, 5 years in hermit life in the mountain behind Mons Road to temple. So that monk, he came to see me. And then we talked. I asked him, I was told, you spent 5 years in the mountain, hermit life, and very little hot meal, just tea and some bread. Then he answered me, meditate on love. When he answered that, in his eyes, there's some special significance there. And then late Mother Teresa, such a wonderful, dedicated to women, such sort of courage, such sort of wisdom come from their own faith. So all faith have sort of same potential. And also I have some sort of friend, Muslim, really dedicated. So meeting with a genuine practitioner, then you get deeper understanding about the value of other tradition. Then scholars of different traditions come together, discuss what are similarities, what is the differences. Then we will find differences. Then should further investigate what is the purpose of this different philosophy. Same goal. And then another sort of practice. Since 1975, I practice whenever I have the opportunity to carry pilgrimage to all different sort of, holy places first I start in one Indian sort of city, ancient city, Varanasi. So firstly I went small mosque, very small, but with Muslim. Spent a few minutes silent meditation. Then church, then Hindu temple, then Buddhist temple, then Sikh temple. So at that time, no synagogue. There are no synagogue. Synagogue, synagogue, huh? So like that. So that's the spirit. With that spirit, I also make pilgrimage to Jerusalem, the Wailing Wall, and ancient Syrian church, Christian church, and then the rock, sacred rock. So whenever I have opportunity, I carry that kind of pilgrimage with a group of people, including some Christian, some Muslim, some Hindu, like that. So that also is very helpful to get some kind of sort of vibration in that holy place and spend a few minutes. Wonderful. I want to share another sort of little bit of mystery thing. One my pilgrimage to Fatima in Portugal. So the small statue of Mary. So we spend a few minutes silent meditation. Then we're leaving. At the time we are leaving, I turned back to see the Mary statue. Actually, Mary statue smiling at me. I think my eye. I think okay. So normal eye actually saw smiling. So these are some mysterious things. So then that I think, then occasionally, like Assisi meeting, leaders together and speak the same voice in the public eyes, millions of public eye, that also very helpful. But actually, I think meeting with genuine practitioners, inner sort of experience, wonderful. Then, second, scholar, make scholarly, what is similarity, what's the differences, like that. So that I do. So right. I think the Forum of 2000 also is. So you see, and some occasion, I think you can organize, invite if you have available money. then invite sort of young people from different tradition. Let them discuss, and maybe some old who have some experience, and then let them speak. So in any way, it is totally wrong while people killing in the name of religion, we remain indifferent. It's totally wrong. How can we remain indifferent? Human being killed by human being, and the name of religion, I think, terrible. We have to work tirelessly. Okay. So I think within next few months in India, you see, one Muslim on the national level, one Muslim sort of meeting will take place. I also participate. So with white hat. I usually do that. And when I sort of, take pilgrimage to Jugul Khasan. Senegal was that small hat. Oh, that one. Oh. So, actually, I keep one red one when I have opportunity to visit like that. So therefore, we should be active to promotion of religious harmony. And then, basically, promotion of the oneness of, a sense of oneness of humanity. That only way, I think, and then this century can be peaceful century through more sort of compassionate sort of experience. Then, so thinking this line, whether realistic or not, I got more optimism. Always look negative side, then hopeless.
I must seek your forgiveness. I had seen your hand. We are running very much short of time. So please forgive me if I don't let you speak. My last duty, very pleasant duty, to thank, first of all, our panelists for their presence and sharing their thoughts with us. So please join me in thanking them, really, from the bottom of our hearts. And may I request to also suggest that our thanks go to delegates who came from different parts of the world, to sponsors and partners, to all the dedicated members of Forum 2000 executive team under the leadership of Jakub Klebel, who made this magnificent conference possible, to all others who have worked tirelessly, including young assistants, in my eyes, the angels of this conference, to our team of interpreters and translators, thank you very much, and thank you, all of you.